Hello, hello. All right, everyone comfy. Everyone having a good time out there. Been quite a day. A lot of great panels so far. Plan to finish strong. Again, we've got some all-stars up here, ladies down here making it happen. So welcome, everyone. Got a few prompts to get us started. Let's start it off easy with some warm-up questions. So obviously this panel is Women in Entertainment Leadership. So first up, what's entertaining y'all?
I guess I'll start, right? I've been watching a lot of She-Hulk that I really love. I actually read the book about 10 years ago. And so I was really excited to see it come to life. And I'm a huge fan of Tatiana Maslany. So that's been something that's been keeping me entertained each Thursday on Disney Plus.
Fantastic. Awesome. Great to hear.
I can jump in. I have a 2-year-old who is endlessly entertaining, but probably not media that y'all consume. But in my spare time, I would like to say that I, consume very edifying content, but I don't. I'm like an escapist reality show kind of girl. So it's been a lot of selling the OC, partner track, and what was the last one? I can't even remember anymore, but things that help take my mind off of day-to-day life. Oh, and luxury TikTok. That is my secret. Not so secret anymore, I guess.
Nice. Same. I'm a reality junkie too. We brought Love Island to Peacock this summer. Any Love Island fans? Yeah. We it was amazing going in every day and watching it every day and going in and like around the water cooler, we would talk about it at work. So much fun. But yeah, I was gonna say the House of the Dragon, just because it's so nice to have Game of Thrones back on Sunday nights. It's like comforting pre-pandemic fare.
I agree. I caught up on that last night and now I'm up to date, which is great. I would also say, I think I picked up gaming. I mean, I do work for Activision, but I picked it up in the pandemic. And this past weekend, we launched the beta for Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, which was amazing. And it's going to be a very, very cool game. So I've been super excited about that as well.
Outstanding. All right. And certainly with the work that y'all do, it's very authentic to be partial to those different types of entertainment as well. So thank you for sharing. Next up, touching more on the leadership side of things, what are some recent achievements, some highlights that you and your team have worked towards recently?
I'm happy to jump in because we just had some big news last week. So my game, The Sims 4, is going free very, very soon. So we're super, super excited to bring this game to like more people than ever before. So starting on October 18th, you can download the game for free and totally jump into the world and play God, basically. But this is actually many, many years in the making. We are an 8-year-old game that continues to make headlines, and I'm incredibly proud of the work that we do on a regular basis. What we represent to our players. I mean, the brand itself has actually been around for 20 plus years at this point. And so the fact that people are like, oh, The Sims, I remember that. We are now a multi-generational game, which is something very special in the gaming industry for those who pay attention. So I'm very, very proud. I'm very excited for this next chapter. So yeah, please check us out if you haven't already. If you've been curious, let us be your new guilty pleasure.
Absolutely. And, I've certainly kept up with EA through the years and, to, have that kind of resurgence, that resurrection, that restoration of Spore right on the brink to share with a whole new slew of people. It's very exciting. Awesome.
Yeah, I guess I can go. Honestly, I'm a bit of an operations junkie. I've been at Peacock for 3 years. We launched a couple of years ago. I got to build this team from scratch, which was really cool. I don't know if I'm ever going to get to do that again, but now we're like 20 people strong, in charge of retention and engagement strategy, email and mobile messaging, analysis, audience targeting, all that fun stuff. And I think because we've grown so quickly, we've doubled in size this year, just my team. So I think being able to deliver the same level of results and the same quality of work, knowing that we have all these new people onboarding and everyone has to learn processes and it's happened so quickly, is something that I'm proud of. I'm really proud of my team.
Absolutely. And growing, and not to mention all the challenges that we faced in these last couple of years. That's outstanding accomplishment. Thank you.
Yeah. One other thing I think that's pretty unique to my role, I think, within brand marketing is how do we weave in social impact and what does that mean? So on Call of Duty, I work on the Call of Duty Endowment where I'm the director of marketing. And this year we launched the first ever in-game charity run. So how do we make something that's like really unique? Everyone has done a charity run, a fun run, but how do we make it unique to Call of Duty? And so we challenged players inside of Call of Duty Warzone to run 100 kilometers, and Activision Blizzard would donate $1 for every 10 kilometers run in the game, up to $1 million. And so we had a 9-day activation. We had 2 million kilometers run, which was about halfway to the moon in terms of how many players participated, which was amazing. And so we just saw engagement from the community in ways that we haven't seen before. And I think it's really coming across in terms of our brand ethos, and also how we leverage our brand for good as well.
Outstanding. Yeah, that's very inspiring to bring everyone together like that. And, such an interesting compliment and opportunity for engagement with the community. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'll just wrap up. One thing that I'm really proud of that my team was able to accomplish this year is we worked on this tiny independent movie called Top Gun Maverick. And being able to, bring it to theaters, bring it to life. And my group specifically works in consumer products. So being able to support the overall campaign with product for fans, and they're so passionate about it, has been really exciting. So, and the fact that the film is so successful in the end after, a really solid runway, getting it to theaters has been really, really gratifying.
Yeah, Top Gun 2. Did anyone see that movie out there? Anyone see
It's one of the few I was like,
That was good. That was a
Yeah.
good one.
I made a point to see that one in IMAX, and I was not disappointed. Amazing.
Great.
Well, thank you all so much for sharing. And actually, I think a couple of these things kind of lead into the next question, which is, what are some of the emerging trends in the industry that you're most excited about? We talked about bringing Spore, taking it free and kind of reaching new audiences with that. We talked about the Call of Duty drive. So by all means, what are some other complementary trends that you are seeing in the industry?
Ooh, can I go? I'm also a
Please.
new technology buff. So AR and VR for sure. Like I'm waiting for that time where we have the holodeck, like on Star Wars. I think it's gonna be, or Star Trek. Sorry, that was blasphemous. I can't wait for that. I got my first VR headset this year, and it's been so much fun to play on it. In the metaverse in general, like how is that going to change interactions with people, and like even from a social media standpoint, how are we going to move? And then honestly, a podcast is a source material. I love seeing that in entertainment because we had Dr. Dev on Peacock, and now we're doing season 3 on Peacock. And I'm obsessed with the story and just finding that inherent base of fans through different kinds of IP is pretty cool. Same thing with gaming.
Yeah, no, it's very similar. I was going to say, 70% of Americans believe that companies need to take action to support issues that aren't related to everyday business operations. And so how do we make sure that everything we're doing is really kind of about brand purpose? And what does that brand purpose mean in terms of issues that are happening in the world around us as well? So something I'm excited about in terms of philanthropic marketing and social impact is purpose is here to stay. And it's those people who can really harness it that are most successful brand marketers.
It's a great point. Thank you very much. Did you have anything else you wanted to add to that?
No, I covered
Yeah.
it.
All right, awesome.
great job.
I think we've heard a lot about, kind of the, the purpose and the value of purpose, and really the power of the effects that purpose affects on the people who engage with this media, and, use that immense power for good. So wonderful to hear. And, certainly finding new channels, new source material, as you said, for telling great stories. There's a lot of great ones to be told out there. And I'm going to turn the script a little bit, and we'll hear a little bit more about y'all's stories. So we're going to ease into that. What are some influences that have been instrumental to your own career trajectory? This could be everything from certain role model. Maybe you just heard a really amazing album or saw a great movie and you thought, I want to be in that. I want to be a part of that. But certainly, whether it's personal, whether it's entertainment, what are some of your influences?
I can jump in from that one. I would say that kind leaders, empathetic leaders have really made an indelible mark in kind of how I've conducted myself now that I am in more of a leadership role. there was a time in my career where, I just felt like everybody was, out to get each other. And it was just this very like various uncomfortable environments. And those were hard times because I'm like, well, can I really be like, that's just not my baseline. Like, I want to help. I want to be a part of a team. I want to feel a part of a team and I want to feel supported. And so I know this is so like, it sounds so cliche, but it really is. It's like, how do I want to be in a place where I feel like I can show up exactly the way that I want to, which is with kindness and with empathy. And I've been able to do that in my current role, which is extremely refreshing. And it's been very encouraging because I've actually been rewarded for showing up in that way versus being dinged for it or having it taken advantage of. And so, being able to see examples of that at various points in my career have really helped me say like, okay, that's my North Star. Like, that's who I want to be. And I'm not going to show up any other way. So yeah, that's basically, it's no specific person. It's just the behavior. It's just something I've gravitated toward.
I love that answer. For me, about 15 years ago, probably less than that, like 13, 14 years ago, I started learning about media conversions. I was working at a science association in DC doing CRM and learning about the science behind some of the technology that was coming, like high-speed internet, like really high-speed internet that we haven't even gotten to yet. And then reading books like Media Convergence by Henry Jenkins about new media and fan engagement. Like, for instance, in 2001, Warner Brothers was sending cease and desist letters to 12-year-olds who were writing fan fiction online about Harry Potter. Like, cut to now, that's crazy. But like the idea that was going to change marketing and customer engagement, and I really was interested in new media. And moving to LA, I came here for grad school, and afterwards I was working at Disney and seeing how things were changing so rapidly from legacy media to new media and wanting to be a part of that. And kind of just all of that coming together so nicely really, sent me on kind of a love fest for what I do now.
Fantastic. Thank you.
I can wrap up in terms of what my
Sure.
inspiration and what's helped me is that some mentors and advocates and sponsors. So I didn't know how important that was at the beginning of my career. I sort of mistook work for school and was like, I'm gonna work hard and get an A or whatever the corporate equivalent of an A is, and it's gonna be great. And that's not actually how the world works anymore. No one really prepared me for that. So I've been fortunate to have mentors, sponsors, people sort of pull me aside, help groom me and push me out of my comfort zone and just give me helpful tips to help navigate and sort of get me to where I am today. And that's something that I didn't realize I needed. So I'm really thankful for all of those, men and women along the way.
So kind of bridging that gap from, excelling in school to how do you excel in the industry?
Exactly.
Awesome.
Mhm.
Awesome. And, I thought it was really interesting, Jessie, what you said about, the importance of being able to show up as you are, because we've talked a lot about authenticity today in a brand sense, but also being authentic to oneself. And, that's where a lot of that inspiration comes from, being able to show up empowered and, be able to pass it on. So thank you. Thank you very much. Alrighty. So now, we've got Peacock, we've got Paramount, we've got EA. Oh goodness. It's the last-
And Activision.
Thank you.
2 gaming companies.
Yeah, exactly.
I knew it. And but it's something that I've seen in both the TV, movies, as well as the gaming is streaming, the trend towards streaming and bringing all of this different content into a platform. So with streaming and other kind of digital distribution services instantly putting media at consumer fingertips, what are some of the ways that you still see opportunities for kind of refining the model or differentiating it? I think we've talked about some of advertising becoming a regular part of some platforms, but I'm interested to hear y'all's thoughts on, where we go from here.
Yeah, I can jump in. I would say, and speaking specifically on the Paramount and Paramount Plus of it all, I think what's nice is that they've been really able to differentiate themselves as a sort of one stop for live news, sports, and a mountain of entertainment. And in terms of content, I feel like we are at peak content. It's everywhere. There are only so many hours of the day. So I think it's important that the content is really high quality. And that's something that, I'm excited to see, come to life across all streaming platforms. But I think that Paramount's doing a really strong job of that and being able to, repurpose franchises. We have Yellowstone in 1883 on Paramount Plus, and really being able to bring that to life is something that I think is exciting. And they've been able to sort of differentiate themselves in a space that's starting to grow more and more crowded in the streaming world.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And kind of on that note, I think people are fighting for people's attention right now, right? So it's all about how you break through and what does that look like. So in one regard, we can break through with social impact and causes. In other, we can break through really cool commercial content that we're selling in the game. And what does that look like? But I think it's kind of making sure that you've diversified your content. So you're meeting where your audience is where they are, and that the content is engaging to them so that they keep coming back for more as well.
I'm going to put a slightly finer point on both of your very good points there. But I think personalization as well, without it feeling like work for the person, like the people that you're trying to, it's like, I don't really want to sort through and say like, let me teach the algorithm this, that, or the other thing.
Yeah.
It kind of has to be baked into the experience overall. I mean, my game, The Sims, like we're all about customization. It's what people come to us for. It's like, I want to build my dream home. I want to build my dream person. I want to build this weirdo. I want to build, like, you can build all kinds of things with our game, but like, it doesn't feel like work because it's part of the play. It's part of the experience. And so that personalization, I think, of those experiences and people being able to curate what it is that they actually want to see and consume, I think that's really how you distinguish yourself, where it's like, it just feels seamless. It just feels like a part of it. And so I think that's really like where you could stand out in this, like, I am also overwhelmed by the volume of content. Like I said, as a new mom, I was like, I don't know, I can spend my time in a million different ways. Like, I just want somebody to serve me something that I'm just going to be like, yeah, that's the thing, without it feeling creepy. Like there's like that border, like, oh, you know me too well. Like sometimes the Instagram algorithm, I'm like,
It's a fine line to walk.
It's a
Fine
very
line
fine line.
between
It's very
convenient
fine,
and
yeah.
creepy.
Yeah.
Certainly. Well, thank you very much. Did you have anything else to add to that?
I was going to touch on personalization. So
Right.
Wonderful. Well, thank you all very much. We've certainly dealt with some challenges with the COVID-19 pandemic, and it seems like we've more or less reached a turning point to a certain extent. But what are some of the changes that y'all have observed during that time, and what are some of the effects that you see to be lasting effects of that experience?
Yeah, I can start. I would say my role is unique in the sense that it's really at a crossroads of theatrical movies and then consumer products, and similar to what the Mattel panel said earlier about how it really shifted buying behavior and purchasing behavior from their core demographic or core shopper. That's something that my company, we really had to pivot, and we've been really nimble in something that we were able to innovate. So for instance, the slate changed. We're trying to also hit these on-shelf dates to align with the larger campaign. And I'm not sure how many people are familiar with the sort of life cycle of product, but it takes anywhere between 18 and 24 months to make one plastic toy. So that's how far out we're working in general. And now we're working a bit further to meet any sort of supply chain issues and things that are coming over on a boat from China. And so it's just really having to plan even further than before and making sure that, we are still aligned with what the studio is doing on their end, so that, at the end of the day, we are ready, our product is ready to go, the fans are ready to purchase, and the movie is hitting theaters. So I'm really proud of what we've been able to do to be nimble and really start adjusting to this, current COVID, post-COVID world.
Oh, absolutely. And, we think about all the supply chain issues that we're experiencing during that time, and, global consumer products, all of these complementary products with these grand productions, that's quite a lead time.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Congratulations on being nimble and keeping with it.
Thanks.
That's awesome.
I actually really wanted to answer this question because I think that COVID has really done a number on the video game industry in like really interesting ways. But for us personally in gaming, and you might have a very similar experience here, but it really demonstrated how important gaming was to millions of people around the world. Like when the world shut down, gaming was a lifeline for a lot of people to still reconnect with their friends and family that are far away. Borders were closed. It was a scary time. People needed an escape. My game, The Sims, like people recreated weddings that they couldn't have. People recreated graduations where they couldn't walk across the stage. And this was all happening, even though our game isn't like, you don't play online with anybody. We are like one of the few games that you still just single player, you're in your room. People, just called each other. They recreated their families, like people that they missed, people that they lost. Like that's, that to me, like sometimes gaming has kind of been one of those like, oh yeah, it's just a bunch of like, weird kids or something like that. Like that's so not the case anymore. Like gaming is mainstream. That is here to stay. From a company perspective, though, I think it's been really interesting, just kind of speaking as my experience as a new mom during the pandemic, literally 3 months into the pandemic, I had my baby. But I think what the pandemic has done is really kind of opened up companies like EA's like eyes to, hey, people have families, life is messy, like flexible, like, work from home hours, like that sort of thing. I think people are way more understanding and really has, I think, leveled the playing field in many ways. I know I want to acknowledge that the pandemic was challenging for a lot of people, but like in some ways, I think the culture has changed in a really positive way. Like I said, I feel like the playing field is a little bit more level now that people have a better understanding of like what outside life and work life is a little bit fuzzy now. And people are more respectful of that, which I greatly appreciate as, a new mom.
No, completely. I think gaming is mainstream media now. And I think before everyone thought it was a niche thing that people did. And I think one of the things that we saw specifically is that over the pandemic, people were playing games and they had a specific time that they were going to meet with all of their friends and talk to their friends and communicate with them. And it's a 5 p.m. on Tuesdays. And we're still seeing that now as things open back up. What does that look like? And how gaming was really used as a communication and social tool when people couldn't leave their homes. And globally, even when we're still having some restrictions, we're still seeing that now. And so I think it's really opened the door for gaming in general, and also for people to be more connected through gaming as well.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Peacock, I guess, was in a unique situation because we launched in 2020. And we've all seen the numbers. Streaming video services did really well during that time period because everyone was at home, and we surpassed all of our goals, and it was great. I think for me, seeing how the streaming wars pan out and what's next is going to be exciting. But also, honestly, my own personal experience has almost eclipsed what we've seen from our consumers, just because we were so new. About I think 3/4 of our workforce started working from home. They've never been in the office. We all went back to the office last week, so it's been real. But yeah, I think I think the youth lady said it best, but for me, it's sort of that transition period that we've been in flux every year. The first year looked nothing like the second, looked nothing like the third. So it's that constant change that's been interesting to navigate.
Right on. Thank you all very much. And so with those changes and from kind of where we are right now, we talked about, some of the considerations with respect to the platform, but I guess in the even bigger picture, what are some of the challenges and opportunities you see for marketers in the present entertainment environment, maybe on the outlook for the future?
Ooh, I want to take this one. So I'm a CRM marketer. Data is my life. I love it. I love addressable data. I love learning about our consumers and cutting them up in cohorts and all that fun stuff. And I think, especially in entertainment, as we move from legacy media to new media, like a film studio or a TV network, they don't own the relationship with the consumer. They're not a direct-to-consumer company, but we are starting to move that way more ubiquitously. And having that data at our fingertips and being able to really know our consumers, not only from like a content perspective of knowing what they're interested in and what content we should be providing on platform, but just the way that we should be speaking to them, or what they're, because we track literally everything that you do on service and everything you do with our digital marketing. So we can get pretty refined in terms of what our messaging looks like. And that's really exciting for someone that works in CRM and entertainment, knowing that we're going into this new media space. So yeah, that's been the most exciting part. And I think as we move forward and things become even more digital, the legacy media companies are going to be able to adopt that, and it's going to be really cool for marketers.
Awesome. Well said. Well said. Did anyone else have anything to add on that? All right.
I feel like she
Awesome.
killed it.
Yeah, that was a great answer.
Well done.
Great, Annabella.
All righty. Well, we do want to save some time for questions. I'm just getting the 10 right there, but I do have a couple closer questions. So, bring it back around. What is some advice that you would give to women who are working in or trying to get into the entertainment industry?
Yeah, I can start with this one. It really is about mentorship for me. I've had mentors throughout my career that have been instrumental, even from just being an intern at the State Department a long time ago. But now, I have a mentor who's my boss now. And what does that look like? It's a really different thing having someone really elevate you and say, take my name off of this. You ran this campaign. This is about you and you getting credit for this. And so I think it's a really cool experience, but you need to find people throughout, like look at leaders who you say, I want to be like this. And what does that look like? And kind of find those mentors who can really help and support you throughout your career.
That's a good answer. For me, it's keep on top of industry trends. I mean, entertainment's changing so quickly. Making sure you know what's happening now and what's happening next, and making sure your goals are aligned with that. And then asking a ton of questions. We have this thing at Peacock called the First Five. I tell all of our newbies, especially the younger ones, like we're pretty open to talking to you, even at the senior level. It's a first 50. Set up 50 interviews with people, ask them about their career trajectories, ask them how they got here, what they're doing now. And like, for instance, I have 17 years of experience in CRM and like 13 in entertainment marketing. I could give you a one-on-one course on what CRM and entertainment is like. So just knowledge, just get as much knowledge as possible.
I would say try on different hats. Even if one doesn't really fit quite right. I spent 5 years or so probably in digital marketing. I'm like, this isn't my jam. I don't really want to do this for the rest of my career. But when I walked away from it and when I was finally back in kind of a brand role, what I discovered was that my time doing that made me a much sharper marketer in general. My partners who I work with in digital marketing appreciate that I have just enough knowledge to be dangerous. On days that they're annoyed with me, it's not great, but on days that they need me on their side, the fact that I can speak a little bit of their language goes a long way. So even though I didn't end up pursuing that as like my main career path, the fact that I do know a little bit about it has been extremely helpful. So don't be discouraged. There's a ton of transferable skills. Even if you feel like you're not on the right path, I promise you that knowledge will come in, very, very usefully someday.
That's a great answer. Yeah, all of you are really knocking it out of the park with your answers. Just to wrap it up, and this is sort of entertainment industry specific, but relationships. I think building relationships, maintaining them, having a friend before you need a friend, and it doesn't have to be this grand sort of gesture all the time. It could be, commenting on someone's LinkedIn post or reaching out for a coffee, or now that we're virtual, I think that's really helped in a lot of ways, develop relationships, raise your visibility. So that's something that's paid off for me, is having really strong relationships that I can call on if it's for advice, if it's for, a recommendation, and it works both ways. They'll come to me for help too. And I always try to, return the favor. So I think having solid relationships and maintaining them is really key.
Yeah, I would say never burn a bridge in this industry because it's so
small.
incestual.
Yeah. It's
A very good friend of mine just went to another streamer and he's now the boss of someone who's another good friend of mine. And her old boss is now my boss.
Oh, wow.
It's very incestual.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. And you know what? I do have one more before we open it up to questions. And I think I heard maybe some things that, probably resonate with this next question that we've already touched on, which is what do you believe are some of the greatest virtues for leading in the entertainment industry? I think we heard a lot of the things y'all touched on seems like part and parcel, but is there anything else y'all wanted to add on top of that?
I just want to make a note on culture, just especially during the pandemic when we're all working from home, maintaining your culture, if it's a positive one, and making sure you're enforcing that has made a world of difference. Even if within my small team, making sure that they still feel supported, and we've maintained a small company culture as we've grown, that's been huge. Being a strong people leader, I think that's important, especially during the pandemic as well. And then finally, I'm sort of huge on integrity. Like that's my number one. So living your values for sure.
I would say the grass isn't always greener, meaning, and what I mean by that is like I've oftentimes like been on the outside looking in at various companies and their successes and all of that. And it's like, gee, they must really have their shit together. You know, it's like they know what they're doing. But the thing is, honestly, all of us are just kind of trying to figure it out. Sometimes you get lucky and you break new ground and it's amazing. But guess what? We only talk about the things that worked. We never talk about the things that didn't, that are on the cutting room floor, never saw the light of day, or just really fell flat. And so if there's ever a day where you're feeling like, ugh, I'm a total imposter, I have no good ideas, whatever it is, we're all just figuring it out. Nobody has it all figured out. Like, believe me, when I was like outside looking at EA, I was like, ooh, wow, like they're really doing like this, this, and this. It's like, nope, same set of challenges everywhere I've gone. Just, you know, slightly different angles on that. But yeah, grass isn't always greener.
I would say just overall, I think especially working in the social impact space, right? We work on really challenging issues that are facing the world and the globe. And change is a long, arduous process. And it can take a lot of time and a lot of energy. And I think there's some days where you're like, I don't think I'm gonna be able to fix it. I think this is the end. And what does it look like? But stay the course, you know, to me, attitude is everything as well. So making sure that you really are putting in the time, having a good attitude about it, but you stay the course, it will all work out. And even if the change is only so small, it's worth it in the end.
Yeah, I love that. Stay the course. And attitude is a really important piece. I would say making sure you're surrounding yourself with the right people. And even if you're the leader, understanding that you don't always have the answers and that's okay. But you know, maybe someone else on your team does. So understanding where to fill in those gaps. So you're not the only one. Like, I know I don't know everything, but I make sure that I lean on those around me who are the subject matter experts in their area. So I think that's something that's really important, is to make sure that you don't feel as though you have to have all the answers.
Absolutely, because as a leader, you're building your team, right? So that's I saw a
find the
lot
good
of head
people.
nodding across each of those. So I think you know, I'd certainly say all of those are virtues of leadership, and you know, I saw a lot of agreement on those. So thank you all for sharing that, and I think anyone would be well served to take those thoughts to heart. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up to the audience. We do have a couple minutes left. If anybody would like to ask some questions. Going once, going twice.
I saw that Days of Our Lives has moved to Peacock, which is crazy because the characters are the same as 18 years ago when I had my daughter and got to be at home. I would imagine that the audience, though, is aged. And so how has that transition been for that audience to go from being able to just watch it on the local channel or whatever to having to adapt to a streaming service?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, the Queen's death was announced and interrupted the last days of our lives on NBC, and that they were very upset about that, and rightly so. So it wasn't a great start, but it's been a lot of growth on Peacock in the last week with the transition that's happened. Honestly, it's funny when we're talking about connections and who we know in the industry. I asked a friend of mine that works at Freevee at Amazon, you know, you guys had Judge Judy move over recently, and it's the same kind of audience similarly. And how did you guys handle it? And we're like, you know, there's a lot of issues with an older audience getting online with registration, setting up their profile, that sort of thing. I think Peacock did a pretty good job of taking that to heart. We set up phone lines for our consumers to be able to call in and just say, what am I doing here? And so I think it remains to be seen. They're such diehard fans. It's almost like cult status to look at them. They're going to find it and they're going to find a way. It's just a matter for us as marketers, and especially in consumer engagement, making sure it's as frictionless as possible. But so far, so good. And I also think that, you know, pre-Days moving to Peacock, we had a couple of specials, Days of Our Lives Beyond Salem, and a Christmas special. So we already had an existing base that have come over to see us, but it's nice to see in volume how many people have joined Peacock.
Fantastic. Well, I do believe our time is up. Thank you all so much for joining again today. Can we give them all a round of applause one more time?